Hello, friends. How are you doing? I hope all of you are doing fantastic and the year has been going great for you. We're already in March and spring has started in many parts of the world. I hope it's going fantastic. Well, today we have an esteemed guest all the way from USA, Ohio. I would like to share a few kind words for him. He is none other than Raymond DJ Carr Sr. He is a radio host, disc jockey, MC, and sports announcer who began his career as a club and wedding DJ in 1980. Ray is now best known as the host of the Ray Carr Show, a weekly radio show that airs every Tuesday. He launched his show in 2008 and has since built an international following for playing obscure British invasion, rockabilly, surf, and R&B from the 1950s and 1960s. The Ray Carr Show combines celebrity interviews with this eclectic mix of music sourced from Ray's extensive collection of old and rare recordings dating from the 1920s to present. Fans nicknamed Ray the Larry King of radio for his engaging and relaxed interviewing style that puts his celebrity guests at ease. He is a supporter of many charities. Ray has almost 2 decades of experience emceeing for charity events in Northeast Ohio. Few of them are Alzheimer's Association annual Blondes versus Brunettes charity powder puff, football game at various Northeast Ohio locations since 2011. Cleveland Site Center annual White Cane Walk at Legacy Village at Lyndhurst, Ohio since 2012. Berea Animal Rescue Friends annual Monster Mutt Dash and Howl Ovine Party since 2012. Tommy Amato annual Cancer Relief Benefit since 2016. A lifelong resident of Lakewood, Ohio, Ray is an athlete and coach who plays baseball, softball, ice hockey, and roller hockey. He has emceed basketball and football games for Lakewood schools since 2001. He volunteers as a coach at the Cleveland YMCA and was awarded Golden Triangle YMCA Award for his work in 2001. Drawn to sports as a youth, Ray was hired as a Cleveland Cavaliers ball boy during Miracle of Richfield playoffs that were part of the 1975 and 1976 NBA season. When he isn't playing music or sports, he enjoys spending time with his two sons, Roy and Ray Jr. Without further ado, I would like to invite Ray to our You Are Invincible channel today. And he's coming on live all the way from the US. Hello, Ray. Namaste from India. How are you doing?
Well, it is a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on your show. It's a true honor.
It's an honor for us that you've been able to take your time and come on the show. So, how is it on that side of the world?
Well, I mean, weather-wise, we're a little bit cold here in Cleveland, but things are looking up. Spring is starting, and hopes are going through the ceiling. We've been through a pretty tough time, so positive thinking is the way to go. I think that's the way we have to approach each and every day.
That's so true. I really like the words, the positive way of approaching. That's the only thing that we need to remember right now after all of us globally went through this situation in last year. And it seems to be in the next few months that it's going to be out of sight, hopefully. What do you think with the vaccination going and the citizens being happy about it?
Well, I think herd immunity is going to be a big deal. People need to be vaccinated, even though there is some trepidation about getting vaccinations. But I think that's the way that you're going to have to go. You're going to have a vaccination to go anywhere. So the more people that get vaccinated, and be careful with social distancing. I mean, that is, some people believe in that, some people don't. But look, after about 3 or 4 more months, we're going to have to get out because I don't think it's healthy for everybody to be inside for too long. You gotta be with people, and that's how I feel. And then when you're not with people, it's difficult mentally.
It is so true. As we all keep hearing, is that we all are social animals. If we don't socialize again, it's gonna make us, maybe react in a certain manner. A lot of mental health illnesses have also cropped up. A lot of people going through a lot of saturation or depression. So you're right. We have to start getting out.
Yeah, it's what it is. It's I like to get involved in a lot of different sports. I play baseball primarily now, and you're with your teammates, win or lose. You're with guys that you like. It's just a good way to blow off steam, and it helps you concentrate, get back. You're inside a lot. I'm on the computer like you are a lot. I'm interviewing people constantly, so you need a break from that. It's a lot of concentration, so you need to step back and enjoy life. Go outside, take a walk, look around. I mean, the world's a beautiful place.
Indeed, indeed it is. Well, if you're okay, we can start off with our questions and answers and conversations
Sure.
with you today.
I'm all ready.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So, Ray, the first to you is your journey from being a DJ to supporting charity events. What was your motivation behind it?
Well, the journey began in high school. And just a little bit prior to that, I would listen to talk shows in Cleveland. And I would think, boy, I'd like to do something like that someday. And, there would be DJs, then there would be talk show hosts, to be kind of both. So I said to myself, I love music, but I don't know if I have the talent to do it. So slowly but surely, I was very shy in high school and I was afraid to get up in front of the class and speak. So it took a while. And then once I got some confidence and some practice behind me, I started doing nightclubs or, dive bars and then working my way up. But the only way for me to learn is you have to be in front of people. And if you don't do well, they'll let you know right away. So it's a trial and error process, and you can't be afraid to fail. And, once you get some experience under your belt, you kind of work from that. And, you just pay attention to whenever you go into any situation, interview or anywhere else, pay attention to your surroundings and make sure that you focus on the people in the audience. That's the most important thing, is you're there for them and you need to take in what's best for the night, whether it be dance music or if you're interviewing somebody or whatever. But you have to put your audience first. I think that's important.
To
And you have to come
the
prepared.
transition, yes, absolutely. It's like being on stage that you need to have that pulse, pulsating, what the audience wants, and then you keep mixing and you keep changing the
Right.
music as per their what they want.
Yeah, when you're on stage, when I go out and talk to people in charity events or other type events, you have to feel the energy from the crowd. When you feel the energy from the crowd, you feed off that, and then that just kind of you build and build and build on that, and then you just feel more of a connection with who you're speaking with.
Right.
And if I'm doing sports announcing, that's a little bit more dry because all you're doing is giving information, but still, I mean, there's a flow to something that you're doing, and you try to get in that groove, and then you kind of just everything just magically happens. But it's just you got to have a sense of that, sense of timing, and it's hard to teach that.
True, that only comes with experience
Mm-hmm.
and
It does.
understanding the energy, as you already said.
Absolutely. And it took
So,
me.
so
Oh,
yes,
I'm
please go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, please go ahead. I'll say after that.
Timing is one of those things that it took me a long time to realize. Instead of looking at myself, I have to look at how am I projecting myself. And preparation was the big thing. Is early on, excuse me, I didn't do a lot of preparation, but as time went on, I did a lot of preparation. So I knew that whatever situation came up, I would have
Hmm.
background information. I wouldn't be caught off guard. And in doing a wedding or DJing a wedding or anything, you have to be prepared and you have to be ready to go. That's that's kind of what I've learned over the years too.
Right. So, what kind of preparations you had to go through or you did before going for any kind of a gig that you did?
Well, yeah. Can you repeat that one more time, please?
Yeah, I'm saying that you just mentioned about preparing yourself before going in for any of the events that you did, whether it was for your show, whether it was for your DJing or the charity that you have been doing. So, what kind of a preparation basically that you had to go through or do before you went?
Well, I'll give you an example of different situations. If I was doing a wedding and I have to MC and play the music, you have to know basically a timeline, and you have to be able to stay on a timeline. And if something were to go awry, you have to be able to be extemporaneous and flexible enough to handle any situation that comes up without looking like it's stressful. And you have to know all the music, and you have to know how to put it together at the right time. You could have every song that somebody would request, but you have to know how to put that puzzle together. That's just a wedding. Now, if you do a sporting event, you have
Right.
to know all the names of the people that are participating in the event. If you're doing a charity event, you have to know exactly, what the charity's about. What do they want you to do? How far can you go with it? Do they want you to sell tickets? Obviously money is a big deal. So you have to be able to have an awareness of everything that you're doing and be ready to change at a moment's notice. So you got to be flexible, and you can't look like it's a big deal. Just, it happens, you grow with the flow, and you're able to handle any situation. So there's a calming effect that you have to have with yourself. Because if you project nervousness or you're scared, people sense that and you lose
Yes.
credibility.
True. So the early thing I had asked was from DJing. How did you come about to support charity events? How did that happen?
Well, people have always helped me, and I saw my family members do a lot of volunteering. My grandmother volunteered at a hospital, and as I got older, meaning that late 20s, early 30s, I thought, I want to give out. I want to give back to people. I want to help people. And it started out working at the Y, and I would volunteer there,
Hmm.
teaching little kids soccer, baseball, all that. Then I used my DJ ability, my voice, and my MC ability to go to events, help them raise money. And that one organization saw me, so I would do another one. It would all be charity. So it makes me feel good that I can help somebody with my talent, further their cause. As long as I believe in the cause, I am more than willing to go the extra mile to help anybody because people have helped me. And I feel that's what we're all here for, is to use what God gave us and use that talent for good and not, be selfish.
Yes, that's a very benevolent thought that you have, a very kind heart that you have. That's why we all have come, I believe. It's a part of us that we can give back to people and make them maybe lead a better life or add to their life some value.
Right.
So wonderful.
Yeah. It's, it,
So
it's
the
all
next,
about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yes, no, that's what the next uh, stage that you said when you were growing up and when you came in your 30s and how you realized that you need to start giving back, in a way, and then the charity event started happening. So yes,
Yeah, I mean, I always feel better. I mean, I would rather make no money at all, knowing I helped somebody, than making a lot of money and feeling like, it was just like punching a time clock. I feel that, it's important to make money, but it's also more important to give to people that need it. And even if you don't get a so-called gold star for it, you do it because it's
hmm,
right. And sometimes the right thing to do, you don't need any accolades. You just do it. And that's
that's
what I
right.
think.
That's right. You get that that golden sleep at night. You get that peace of mind when you go to bed that night that you know you did something for someone or
Right.
some people, and it gives you so much of happiness and peace, which is you cannot compare it with the world's abundance when it comes to materialistic stuff.
Yeah. It's an intrinsic feeling that possessions cannot give you. You can have all the possessions in the world, but the intrinsic feeling of fulfillment, that is, priceless to me. It really is.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the next that I'd like to ask you, Ray, is how did the idea of the Ray car show come up? When did it all start and how was the idea like you shared, you started DJing?
Yeah. Yeah. Back in the 80s, when I started, I was a young man just playing records in nightclubs, and I got on the mic and I would talk to people. In fact, most DJs in the 80s would just play music and maybe introduce a record. I would be doing trivia. I would try to connect with the audience early on before all the people got there. Like, for instance, at a normal bar on a Friday night,
Hmm.
people would go out and they want to dance. Well, early on, I would just try to do some trivia just to connect with the people. And I was known as DJ Ray at that time. So I
Okay.
was more of a personality. But, when people came, I knew I had to play dance music. That's what paid the bills. That's what kept me hired. Um, so from that, I worked many, many years in many different kinds of clubs, dives all the way up to the best clubs in town. And
Hmm.
I developed that. And then I went back to Cleveland State to finish my degree. And I decided to use my real name, The Ray Carr Show. And I wanted to change things. And I wanted to play stuff on my show that I can't play anywhere else. It's almost like an artist wanting to paint stuff that he or she wants instead of what you're paid to do. So I use the radio show is my canvas to do stuff inside that I want, play the music that I wanted, obscure music that I like and my audience likes. And then on the other side of that is get to interview interesting people and challenge myself to new ideas. And, sports is my background, but I don't do sports at all. So I try to, venture out and learn new things and learn how to do that. And it's really been fun.
And you were nicknamed as the Larry King of the radio, which is so amazing.
A gentleman named Michael Heaton, the brother of Patricia Heaton, that's been on television, who did Everybody Loves Raymond. She was on that show.
Yes.
Her
Uh-huh.
brother wrote that article about me back a couple of years ago. And it's because I used to listen to Larry King. Larry King used to be on the radio, and before he was
Okay.
on television in the 80s. So when I would come home from nightclubs around 1982, 83, it would be at 2 o'clock in the morning. So he would be on the radio live, coast to coast. So I'd listen to him do interviews with many different people who I didn't know at the time because I didn't have that much experience. And I go, I like the way this guy does it. He lets his guests talk and he asks questions he feels that are generally interesting to the audience and to him. So I kind of learned that. And it took years from that point for me to get involved in that in practice. Because, when you do an interview and you don't know what you're doing, you step on people sometimes, but you have to know how to ask a question, step back, and let the guest answer. And that's kind of what I do, and that's how I've approached everything.
Fantastic. That's why you're so famous for it. That's why it has worked out so well for you.
I work hard, and I care. Really, it's mainly my attitude is, and I tell younger people this: it isn't about me; it's about the guest on my show. They listen to my show to hear the guest. They know what I sound like, but my guest is important. So I don't want to overshadow he or she on my show. I want to make sure that they're highlighted. And if I really do my job well, then people learn something about the guest. And they say, okay, you kind of steered the ship as you're a captain. And then everybody was able to follow along, whether they agree or disagree. They got a full picture of who the guest on the show was. And that's really what my job is. And if I do it well, that's what people will say.
Absolutely. Those words means a hell of a sense because if you make the guest the actual host per se, and you're just going along with the flow, the audience will be more than happy to know what the guest wants to say rather than overpowering or overshadowing the guest. So it makes a lot of sense. And I've been able to do a couple of interviews, obviously not many years like you, who has been doing it, and you're a pro at it. But I definitely would want to inculcate the same virtues that you have, and I do my best that I let the guest, speak and ask relevant questions. So it
Right.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. You have to know. My attitude is know as much as you can about the guest. It's like a file cabinet. You have all this information in a file cabinet, but you only take out what you need, and then he or she will
Mm,
say something. Because the other thing is, you have to listen, and I'll listen to how they speak, the tone of their voice, how fast they speak, and if they're going down a road I don't want to go down, you have to know how to veer off and take a circuitous route to get to where you want to go. And that's what happens. But do it smoothly without
mm,
embarrassing the guest and in a way that you can steer the conversation where it's more relaxing where it isn't so confrontational. I don't like to be confrontational because it's no fun. There's many other shows that do that. I don't want to be one of them. I want to be information, entertainment, and, I want people to enjoy it because the world is a tough place. They need to enjoy that. That's why they listen to my show. And I like to be able to balance that with the oddball music that I play. It's all clean, but I want to have that balance. It's eclectic, it's unusual, but it's really who I am. So the audience seems to like it, and that's the one side of me that I can do kind of anything I want, and I enjoy that.
That's brilliant. I really admire that side of how you tackle things and how you take it forward and how you have been doing it since it's been what 30 years now,
Well, yeah, I've
nearly
been
30
behind a
years.
mic for a long time. Actually, more like close to 40. I mean, in one way or
Wow.
another. I've been a DJ since probably clubs about 81, but I've been on the
Hmm.
radio for a while in the early 2000s and since 2008 at WCSB and a lot of
Right.
other stuff. I've done podcasts. I've done all hundreds of different things, 1,000 different weddings over the last 37 years at all different places
Wow.
around all different denominations. So I've seen a lot of stuff, and I've tried to take all that into account and use that to my benefit. But I really enjoy, like you and I are speaking right now. I would rather do this than anything else because I like it. I get more out of it.
It's as simple as getting to know another human being, and as you mentioned earlier, learning new ideas, new perception. How we may have a limited perception about few things, but when we interact, when we have this conversational talk going on, we know that okay, I need to understand and maybe broaden the horizon. So it's beautiful being able to connect at this level.
Yeah, I just try to paint a picture, and sometimes the guest will say something that you don't expect the guest to say, but you've read enough about them, and there's that little tidbit of a nugget of information that you never expected that you would use. You could bring that
Hmm.
out at the right time and really put the icing on the cake of the interview and go, wow. And the guest will say, I didn't know that, it shows that person that you did your homework and it's relevant to what you're saying. And it really kind of draws the audience in because the guest is kind of surprised that you knew that, but it just fit in like a puzzle. So it really helps people to go, oh, wow, I didn't know that. That's really cool. That kind of stuff. So that's why the preparation really comes into play, but also listening and know when to kind of put that in there. That helps.
Right, right. Fantastic. So I'd like to ask you the next question, Ray, which is your fans call you Lion King of the radio. So how did you get the title from the audience, or how did that came along?
Well, I was doing radio. I started out doing overnights, which
Hmm.
means 12 a.m. to say 5:30 in the morning. And I would have to
Hmm.
interview and take phone calls from people that were, let me put it nicely, people that were challenging. In radio overnight in Cleveland, sometimes you could say things that you can't say during the day. So I would learn to
Okay.
do that, but then I would say, I don't want to hear this anymore. This is nonsense. So I would book guests from the West Coast because it would be earlier their time, and I would talk to different people that were paranormal, spiritual people, movie stars, whatever, but whoever I can get, and I would just do that, and that's how the long interviews and that style began. And people started to go, oh, he's like Larry King. He does this, this kind of thing. I never really thought of it that way at first, but I was just doing it to fill time that was interesting and fun because it's overnight. People tune on the
Hmm.
radio at 2 o'clock in the morning. If they're not sleeping, they can't sleep. They have insomnia, so they need something to do. So I try
Right.
to provide that. But now I'm on in the morning, so it's totally different.
So now it's lesser number of the challenging people then.
Yeah, yeah. It's really just 2 hours instead of like 4 or 5. Yeah, and when you're working overnight like that, and I'm sure you know this, it's tough because you don't sleep right, and it takes a toll on your
Yes.
body, and you know, it's tough to function in a normal society that way.
Absolutely. I mean, your frequencies go haywire. You can't think straight. It's
Right,
like your mind, body, and soul are in different directions when you don't get that adequate amount of sleep.
right. Yeah,
Wonderful.
it's tough. That's why I always tell people you got to eat right. I don't
Yes.
drink or smoke. You got to take care of your body. And I'm 57 years old. So, I'm getting up there, so I got to take care of myself. And
You're just being too modest about it. You don't look your age at all. You look 10, 15 years younger to that.
thank you. Thank you. And I work hard at that, but a lot of it is discipline. Your friends go
Yes.
out and I go out with them to a bar. I drink water, but I'm there for the conversation, or I'm a designated driver. But I know that the dangers. I've had friends get in trouble by thinking they could drive with a couple of beers in them, and nowadays you can't do that. Why chance it? So I've learned a long time ago. You got to be responsible because everything you do has a reaction, and you got to be careful. And why add any more stress to your life than you have to?
Absolutely. I was just thinking about that. There are already so many things to take care of. Why additionally have some more challenges or opportunities which might drive you in a direction which you don't want in life?
Right. I tell people that, and they just laugh at me. Go, I said, look, if you try as hard as you can. My mom lives right next door to me. She owns a house
Mhm.
next door where I actually grew up. Surprisingly, I bought the house next door as I got older.
Wonderful.
But I take care of her, and she's 88 years old, still hanging in
Beautiful.
there. She has cancer,
Hmm.
but she's still able to do things for herself. But I'm over there every day. Um, and I figure that why would I want to do anything that's going to cause my life any more stress and embarrass? See, I always thought that if I got in trouble, I would embarrass my mom, and I never
True.
wanted to embarrass my mom or my dad because they would be disappointed in me. And some people don't care about that. I always cared about. I wanted to make my mom and dad proud and show them that they did a good job, and give them the respect. And that's really how where it all comes from.
I can surely say that your mom is super proud of you and even your family because the way you have managed and handled your life and achieved what you have, it's definitely very, very responsibly done.
I try, and every day I never just take anything for granted anymore because you're never
Mm.
promised the next day. And everybody I speak with, especially a show like this, I really, really appreciate you talking to me. So I want to give you everything I have, and I learn from you as we kind of learn from each other. So it's a mutual respect. It doesn't matter how many people listen or watch. If one person is listening, they could get something out of it, or 100 million listen. So to me, um, it doesn't matter. You got to when you're on TV or radio or Zoom or anything, you got to be able to show the respect to whoever you're speaking with and your audience.
I totally agree to that. Absolutely. Even if one life can be transformed, through our conversation, I guess that's why we do what we do.
Hmm. Right, right. It's almost like it's a calling. I wouldn't say it's a like a religious calling, but there is a calling there, and you're kind of driven to do it, and you know what that's like because why would you be behind the microphone doing all the things? I watched your interviews, and you deal with some very heavy topics that are very deep, and sometimes existential, but very important. And there's the questions that I have on my mind too. So um, yeah, it's a calling, I think.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And it's something that really gives you uh, a lot of intrinsic happiness, as you were sharing earlier. It gives you a lot of like after each and every interview, after each conversation that I have had with the respective dignitaries, it gives a lot of change of perspective of how one looks at life because so many nodules in your brain start to just open up and get electrified. Wow, okay, that can also happen, and this is how things manifest, or this is how things work, which maybe we never thought about it, or even if we thought about it, we never gave that much of time towards it. So it's evolving in a way for yourself.
Yeah, um, right. I agree 100%. And the other thing is, I see so many things in the world that are very disturbing and egregious. I don't know however you want to put it. So I kind of use that to motivate me to do other things. So I don't have to think about those things because it's difficult. Because if you're a person that cares, there are atrocities around the world that bother you, and there's nothing you can do about it really. So
Mm.
instead of focusing on the negative, I try to use this forum in whatever I'm doing, even if it's sports. Which what is sports anyway? It's entertainment. I mean, I love to play,
Absolutely.
but it's entertainment and it's not life or death. So it doesn't matter what I'm speaking about. I try to, take all that negative energy and turn it into positive energy and try to make the situation as enjoyable as possible. That's really all I can do.
True. One thing that just came to my mind, Ray, was that it's so beautiful that two things that you're involved in, music and sports, that is something which universally is acceptable without any animosity, without any hatred, without any envy. It brings people together from different parts of the globe. So it's beyond discrimination of any sort. So it is such. I mean, you're so blessed to be able to do that, and you're doing so fantastic. It's two things which will bind the hearts together without without question.
Yeah, I mean, music is universal. Sports is universal. I know that where you're from, you like cricket.
Yes, it's like cricket is like God to Indians.
Yeah, I've watched cricket. I don't really understand it. I play baseball. There is a similarity involved in
Yes,
baseball,
yes,
but
yes. I
cricket
used to
lasts a
play.
lot
Oh, yeah.
longer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm a pitcher. I play fast pitch, so I understand the.
Oh, lovely.
But the pitcher in cricket has to bounce the ball in and hit the wicket, I believe, right?
Yes, yes, you're right.
Yeah,
If
it's
it goes wayward, then the opposite team gets a run.
yeah. So it's a round field. Interesting. Anyway, sports is universal because American football is huge. Major League Baseball, which I love. Hockey, ice hockey. I love hockey.
Yes.
One of the reasons I like it is because it's one of those games that I was always not very good at. Then I got
Hmm.
okay. I got pretty good, but I was never great. But it's a
Hmm.
sport that I admire because it takes so much to be great. So I'm fascinated by it.
It's quite a technically difficult sport if you see ice hockey because you're skating, you're taking care of where you need to go, and plus the gear that you're wearing. It's quite technically difficult to manage everything, and then again, you know, do a goal.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's not only do you have to skate and balance, but you get hit, and you got to be able to take that, keep your head up, know where to put the puck, and know where to be. And the young guys that I play with, or I did play with a lot, are so fast that somebody my age cannot keep up with them. Because even if you're in shape, as you get older, your legs just don't move as fast as they did when they were 20. And
Right.
kids aren't as you get older, your body gets worn down, and you think, man, I wish I was 25 years younger to stay up with these kids. Same in basketball. I could play basketball, but you can't run the court like somebody who's 25.
True, true. That's nature. We
Yeah,
can't do
it
much
is.
about that.
It is nature.
Wonderful. So the next that I'd like to ask you is you have supported many charity events. What inspired you to join the cause? I know you have said earlier that you want to give back to the society and do your best, but more than that, what was that thought or inspiration that, okay, I would want to support a charity?
Um, I'll give an example of the Monster Mutt Dash. What that is
Hmm.
there's a Berea Animal Shelter. That's just a local city around Cleveland, and it could be
Hmm.
any city anywhere in the world. But they support animals. They don't. It's a no kill center, and I love cats and dogs. So I really said, I would like to do something for them, and it's tied into a big race. So it's a
Okay.
5K race. People pay money. They do that, and then there's an award ceremony. Then I MC a thing with the animals where they do, different animals do tricks. Then we have a costume contest because it takes place around Halloween, and it's just kind of a huge event with about 2 to 3 thousand people. And I
Ah,
said,
nice.
you know, I just want to help out. And if it raises a lot of money to keep a lot of animals happier and alive, to me, that's worth it.
And safe. Yeah.
It's safe, right? Yeah, safe. That's the thing. There's a lot of abused animals out there that people do terrible things to. And that bothers me when somebody would harm an animal or a child or, what, that kind of stuff to me is terrible. And I try to do what I can to, help in those type of events.
Yeah, like it's the same. I was like when I was growing up, when I saw the PETA movement, I was really happy that okay, there is an organization who actually cares about animals. And over the years, in the last couple of years, many such organizations have come up globally who really care about whether it's the fishes in the ocean, the sharks, or the dolphins, or the cats and dogs and different species on ground. So the sooner we start taking care of our environment, it's going to add to our longevity.
Right. There's a direct correlation for people that abuse cats and dogs and other small animals. They a lot of them take it to the next level and do that to human beings. There is a correlation between the two, and only a sick human being would do something like that. But there are a lot of them out there, and I just think that yeah, there nature itself. You know, the animals are going to die, and they're going to that's just how nature is. But we don't have to add to it. And if somebody who doesn't want an animal, there's places you could take them. It's just like children. I mean,
Yeah.
little kids, they're just innocent and people just abuse them, which is, I could live another 500 years and I'll never understand why. If they don't want somebody, if they don't want to take care of a child, there's thousands of families that would love to have that
Oh,
opportunity.
yes. Absolutely.
They can't have children of their own. So a lot of loving families would love and like that. And kids need that. They need understanding, they need love, and they need structure. And that's what helps them develop into functional adults and human beings later on in life.
True. On the other hand, even when we compare humans and animals, poor animals they can't even speak or talk, and to torture such beings is like insane. And I don't know why people do it. As you rightly said, even if you live for 500 more years, you won't be able to understand why they need to torture the animals. For what reason? You don't like them, just stay away from them.
Right.
Why torture them?
I thought about that question. That's a great question. And I figured that it's something internal. They're angry with themselves and they're not
Mm.
happy. So they want to, like a bully. A bully will go around the school and just for no apparent reason, just pick on people that are smaller that can't fight back. And with animals, if you get an animal, you can, if you pay attention, you can feel the animal and mentally you can
Yes.
feel that there's a connection there. And people that do those kind of bullying things, um, there's something wrong with them. There's obviously a trauma that happened to them earlier in life that is causing this behavior. Just like people that do terrible things to, I won't mention what they are, but you know what I'm talking about, to children.
Yes.
Something usually
Yes.
happened to them earlier in life that would cause this awful behavior, and and that's why if you're smart, you got a problem like alcohol or whatever, get help. It's there.
Get to go to rehab. Yeah. Absolutely.
Or
Help
talk
is
to
out
somebody.
there if you just reach out.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. You have to admit there's an issue, and then go seek counseling or help. And that's what it's all about. And that's what we are as human beings. Hey, we don't do things perfectly. We're not perfect. And you have to look at yourself in the mirror and go, all right, maybe I didn't do this as well. Maybe I got a problem here. And the first step to becoming better and more productive is admitting there's a problem and then address it and not be afraid.
And that first step itself is like 50% of the issue being solved because you affirm that, okay, I have this. And then the next 50% becomes so much easier because you seek out a professional and
Yeah,
it's a different living altogether after that.
right. And it just, a lot of people are afraid and they won't admit that there's something wrong and they're afraid. And, we're all afraid of something. Um, and why try to hide it? And why not work on it? People don't like to work on things that they're not good at. It's hard to do that. They like to reach for the low hanging fruit. Sometimes you have to work hard to get through something, whether it's an addiction or whether it's a fear of being on stage. Some people are afraid to talk in front of people. It took me a while. I was afraid because I wasn't confident, but it took a while, and you have to face that. And if you really want something bad enough, you will find a way to do it. You can manifest that desire in here, and you can eventually achieve it. I've heard you speak about that.
Absolutely. It's like the coherence that you have with the heart and your mind. You just have to have that desire, the passion towards it, work hard, and you can see it manifested.
Right, right. And nobody ever said it's going to be given or easy. But the only way to you have to persevere. You have to trust people, listen to people that you confide in. There's nothing wrong with talking to somebody, getting a different point of view. And sometimes the feeling, I'll be sitting there and I'll get some feeling or some idea in my head. Talk to the universe. It happens. Why not? I mean, I just talk and I ask for questions. Sometimes I want clarity. Sometimes I won't get it, but sometimes I will, and I'll be led in that direction.
So true, talking about speaking with the universe, the universe gives answers in such beautiful ways. I mean, you'll see a sign or a message or some kind of an indication when you're going through that motion. And you'll be like, oh, okay, so this is what, or maybe you are reading something just pops up. And whatever we are muddled up in our head, we'll be like, okay, I found my answer. So yeah, it's one of the best things. So trusting the universe in a way is being able to trust your own self, I believe. And once we can do that, the universe will always conspire.
Right. And yeah, it doesn't really mean that you're any one particular religion. You could be
True.
Roman Catholic, you could be Jewish, you could be Hindu, it could be anything. But
True.
if you're a spiritual person, open the portal in your heart to listen. People that are so dogmatic that won't listen to anything but what they're told to listen to, not healthy. Um, you got to be open minded. Now, you don't have to agree with it, but at least be open minded to hear it. And broaden your scope of education. There's a lot of things that I hear I don't agree with, but at least I'm aware of it, and I'm not afraid to listen to it. Um, but that's part of being, you got to be like that, especially in the business that we're in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That brings us to the next question. In the current world scenario, how can one contribute to the society in our own ways? Whatever we are and whatever we do, what do you think? The basic that any one of us can do.
I believe that whatever talent that you're given, and I'll just use myself for an example. I try to deliver important messages, entertainment, fun, all together to make people's lives a little bit more enjoyable. And if I can go the extra mile and help somebody who needs, I don't know, to move something, or help an elderly person do something, whatever I'm physically and mentally and financially capable of doing to help somebody who truly needs help. If everyone would do something little for everybody, the world would be a much better place. Being selfish is what causes a lot of problems. It's not always easy to be magnanimous, but it's important to do at least one good thing a day. Try to maybe, I don't know, open a door for somebody who with their hands full. Somebody drops something. Here. You know, I've had people drop wallets full of money behind them. I could have taken the money. I didn't. I just went up to the person and gave the money. The wallet back. I don't want it, but it's the right thing to do. And sometimes the right thing to do is not always the easiest thing to do. And if people would have that kind of mindset, like how about driving? I mean, you drive, people cut you off. Why not let somebody in once in a while? I mean, are you that much of a hurry that you can't let somebody? I mean, those a courtesy thing. All that stuff falls into the same category. Is try to do those little things and use whatever talent you have, you know, to facilitate that. I think that's important.
I guess whatever you mentioned, they all are such simple things to do. And it's so simple to have, like mentally, if you think about it, it is so simple to do these things.
Yeah, it is, and really, it's all about. It comes down to one thing: do you care? Do you really care about other people, or do you just care about
Mm,
yourself? And when it's all said and done, when it's all gone, what are people going to say about you? Are they going to say, "Well, he had $20 million in the bank, he had a big house, he had a boat, he had all kinds of stuff, but nobody liked him. He didn't do anything for
mm.
society." Instead of saying, Ray had a nice house, but he really gave a lot of himself, not only financially, but himself to other people, and he made life better. He taught me this. He was there when I had a problem. He listened to me. all that stuff. That's what people remember. They don't remember how much money you have as much as they remember what you did,
Mm.
how you help people. That's what matters,
Well,
you know?
hopefully, whatever globally all of us have gone through in the last year, this heart that you just mentioned, the heart of magnanimity, the heart of helping out, I'm sure it's just a hope that we can think about. I'm sure a lot of people must have realized that money is not everything. It's your being and your own self, which
Right.
is more than all the material possessions that we own.
Yeah. Money is important, but it's not everything. You need it to have a
True,
roof over your head. You need to eat. Um, but again, it's all about, you know, your fellow person. There's, different countries have different attitudes towards that, but there is the universal, we all have a heart. Do we want to open our heart? And when it's tough, hey, there are times when everybody's financially strapped, but if there's somebody who needs a little help, you don't have to say no. Well, here, all I have is this, or I can come over
true.
and shovel your driveway, or I can cut your grass. I can do that for you. At least that is showing that person, you care. And sometimes just calling somebody back or talking to them means more in the world to them than you could ever imagine.
Very true. Very true. That could actually change the world for them if you see a small gesture.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly right. That is exactly right. I would
Wonderful.
agree 100%.
That brings us to the second last question of our conversation. Well, just want to share with you, Ray, that I'm loving the conversation that we're having, and I'm not even looking at the time span that we have covered till now. So I'm just going with the flow.
Yeah, that's what I do. I mean, I don't, when I do interviews, I usually don't write any questions down. I just memorize them and I just kind of use them when I need them.
Hmm.
It's kind of like an arsenal of stuff. I just take out what I need and I let the
Right,
conversation, I just let my intuitions take me wherever I need to go.
right, right. Wonderful. I shall take that as one more pointer to be learned.
Yeah, just trust yourself. If you're good at what you do, your intuitions will guide you in the right direction. If to me, if I come off too scripted, I'm not natural. I'm uncomfortable with that. I need to
Mm.
have an idea what I'm doing, an outline, but I have to be able to use what's in here and up here to say, okay, I just know what to say. It just comes out like that, and I'm lucky in that respect.
Right, right. So what I would like to ask you is one experience in your life which actually changed the way you look at people or situations.
Good question. There have been many, but I'll give an example of something that was that changed me many years ago, probably around
Hmm.
1980, 83, 84. And I don't know, it may not seem like it's a big deal to some people, but I was doing a wedding, or I was hired to do a wedding. And it was a big deal. I mean, anytime somebody gets married, it's a big deal. And they hire you as entertainment. I I was late, and it was a mistake, and it threw the whole night off. The bride and groom were upset, and it was
Hmm.
a moment that woke me up to the point where I said to myself, I let somebody down. I was late and not prepared. And I'm like 22 years old. And I thought to myself, what am I doing? I can't do this again. So that from that moment on, I made myself, wherever I go, I'm early, really early, and I'm totally prepared for anything. And I will never let that situation, was the basis of everything I do. Preparation, you're on time, you're ready to go, and no matter what, you're there, because if you're hired to do something, or even if you volunteer, you take it the same way. You 100%, and you're ready to go. And that moment right there put me in that position. That's how I think today.
Oh, that's amazing. A small incident can actually transform the way you think and the way you want to lead your life.
It bothered me. It really, even
Yeah.
it just, like, I said, what am I doing? These people, it's their big day, and I was late because I didn't care enough to be there on time. I was just taking I wasn't paying attention, and it was an immaturity thing. And I grew up that moment. I grew up. I said, no more. I'm gonna, no matter what it
Mm.
takes. And I've had equipment at a show years ago not work, a microphone not work, and I went out. From now on, I bought the most expensive, best equipment I could ever afford because I don't want that situation to ever happen again. So I would rather make no money and have my equipment work 100% or as close to that as possible than buy cheap equipment and make more of a profit. But if something breaks, then what good is it anyway? So people will only judge you on your performance and say, well, he was prepared. His equipment worked fine. Everything flowed. People danced. We had fun. And if they say that, you did your job. And that's what you're supposed to do. And if you take that attitude with everything you do in life, you will be successful.
True. So it's about being proactive. It's about just being present to your own self. It's about giving that 100% to what you're doing right now, which will
Oh,
make everything.
everything. It doesn't matter. Money does not motivate me. What motivates me is knowing that I can make a difference. Or hey, like we're talking today. Um, I enjoy this. We're talking about many different things, and it's important to me. I would do this every day. I enjoy it. I really do.
I'm glad. I'm so glad about that. So, Ray, tell me, so out of the different things that you like to do for your radio show, then you being an athlete, you play sports, and you do charity events. Which is the most dear to you? Through which event or gig or thing that you do professionally or in your personal life that really motivates you and lights you up? That, okay, I'm going to do this. Wow.
Well, um, I love to be on the mic live in front of an audience, but that hasn't happened in a long
Mhm.
time. But doing the radio show, um, here's what it is. It's like I get to play oddball music from the 50s and 60s that I like.
Mhm.
Maybe some obscure tune by the Beatles or the Rolling Stones or some person you never heard of before that, say, is some actor that made a record that nobody knew about. That kind of stuff
Mhm.
lights me up. But then when I can add on a serious or kind of a fun interview with that, my brain, it just feels like I'm just engaged, and there's a level of happiness that I get from that very few things in life will ever give me. And I feel that I'm being productive. I'm using my talents, and I just love it. I really do.
So
I
you
really
want to
do.
be known as DJ Ray the musician or athlete Ray or the philanthropist Lake Reka?
The athlete's important, but that's like third down the list. I would rather be known as a good MC, talk show host, um, a man that could is a good interviewer. Um, I would rather have those things in the forefront, and a person that's giving. Those are very important things to me. And if I can have people know me for that, sports as a hobby. I'm a pretty good baseball player. I played since the late '60s as a little kid,
Right.
and I could still throw the ball as well as I did 30 years ago. I'm blessed like that, but it's recreation. This stuff that I'm doing now is important. I'm talking to people, even if it's entertainment. It's still important. You're making somebody happy. When you put a smile on somebody's face, how can you put a price on that? You know,
True.
very important.
That's priceless, to be honest.
So yeah, I
So,
try to have that attitude. Yeah.
so what kind of a message would you like to give our viewers for this year and for the coming couple of years from Reka?
Check out the Ray Carr Show every Tuesday and go to my website, and you can listen to a thousand different shows that I've done at raycarram.com. But seriously, be kind to other people. Be open minded. And even if you don't agree with somebody, just be open minded, be kind, and just be kind and take care of yourself. Those are the messages I would give to the world. So,
That's a very deep-rooted message. If you see, if one is kind to everybody else, the world would be a very different place. One
right.
world, as we have heard that terminology so many times, it would actually be one world if we care and if we are empathetic towards our fellow beings.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Exactly. The world's not a nice place sometimes, but I would say just kindness is really what it's all about. You know, putting other people before yourself. That's really what everything that I do. And the background of everything is just trying to put my audience and people that whatever I do before myself.
Right, right. So, viewers, today we have been able to be very, very fortunate to be able to speak to Ray Carr. And if you want to reach out to him, as you rightly said, please watch his show every Tuesday. And you can also email him at ray@raycarram.com, which is right there on the ticker. And it's been a privilege, Ray, to be speaking with you. I've been able to learn a lot, many things from you, from the perspective of becoming a better host, and also to enhance my own heart and mind coherence and become more magnanimous. It's been my pleasure to have you on our show. You are invincible. So, if anything else you would like to share with our viewers, you feel free and please go ahead.
Thank you. By the way, thank you so much for those kind words. And audience, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed everything. I guess the only thing is, I do some interviews. You can check it out on my website. But really, just enjoy life. We don't know how much we have of it. Just take every day and enjoy. Do something positive. Enjoy things. And that's what I would say. Don't get wrapped up in the minutia of things that aren't really important. Just enjoy life. That's what it's all about when it comes right down to it.
Wonderful. And that's exactly what we were able to do. We enjoyed our conversation, Ray. It has been a privilege and it's an honor to have you on our show. So thank you so much for giving your precious time. I really cherish the time that we've been able to spend.
Thank you. And I'm here anytime you need me.
Thank you so much. It's a namaste. This is how we greet our guests in India. A namaste from India. So thank you so much, Ray. Thank you, viewers, and we will see you soon. And do catch Ray on his show, and also you can email him at this email ID, ray@raycaram.com. Thank you. Take care. Thank you, Ray.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.